Hey everybody, how's it going? It's Russell Matthews here, and I'm just popping in for a quick video to let you know that tomorrow, that's Monday, November 23rd, is your next date to apply for the CRB. Now this will be the fourth period of the entirety of the benefit. If you don't already know, each individual period spans a time frame of 2 weeks, and you have to wait for the end of those 2 weeks to be able to apply for that period. So essentially you're going to be applying tomorrow for the past 2 weeks and then expect to get that money either in 3 to 5 business days if you are doing it through direct deposit, or a little bit longer if you're waiting for your check in the mail. But if you remember way back to that first period that we were able to apply for these benefits, you'll know that there were a lot of problems with the application process. But luckily, now the CRA has sort of sorted things out and things are going a lot more smoothly. But that doesn't mean that there's not more news and more information for this period about other benefits and small tweaks and changes and things that you should look out for the rest of the time that you're claiming the CRB. And if you're familiar with this channel, you'll know that I'm constantly bringing updates about any news that's related to these benefits, along with any news that could affect Canadians and their money. But I recognize that not everybody has time to watch a 10 to 15 minute video about things that are updating about their finances, so I like to make this video at the beginning, or I guess end, of each CRB period to let you know what exactly has changed. And we're going to go through all of the videos that I've talked about in the past 2 weeks, do a little bit of a summary, and I'm going to send you a link for any of the topics that you might be interested in diving into it with a little bit more detail. This is a great way to stay up to date with anything that could affect you and your money. You can just come back here every couple of weeks and find that roundup video to find all of the information that you may have missed over the past 2 weeks and get yourself up to date without having to keep track every single day if you don't want to. The first thing that you'll definitely want to know about relates to the new $200 benefit that the Ontario government has brought in. But if you're not somebody who lives in Ontario, there are benefits that you can apply for your individual province. And this has to do with childcare benefits. Now, these benefits have been around for a long time, but there have been various tweaks and various increases and decreases in some certain situations, depending on which province you're in. So in this video, if you're interested in taking a look at it, we dive deep into how you can apply for this and how much you can expect to get each year from your provincial government, depending on where you live. If you have a child and you're not already claiming this benefit, it could be a huge deal for you because depending on which province you're in, again, you could be earning up to an extra $2,500 each year for each child that you have. So if you're not sure if you're on this benefit yet, you're going to want to check out that video. Then we spent a little bit of time talking about credit cards and the way that a lot of Canadians are using their credit cards wrong. Now, this isn't directly related to the CRB, so we won't spend too much time on this, but there are ways that you can utilize your credit cards and make sure that you're using them in the proper ways and using the right credit cards for the right situation that can end up saving or making you a lot of money over the year, which can be a huge help, especially in a challenging economic time like we're in right now. I even go so far as labeling my individual credit cards to remind me how to use them properly when I'm out and about on my day-to-day. So if you're a big geek like me and you're into that sort of stuff, check out that video. The next thing we talked about is a tool that you can use that's on the CRA website that will help people out who are going to be in a position that need to pay money back come tax time. Now, there are a lot more people who are going to be in this category than they might expect. And did you know that even though the CRB is withholding some taxes, you could have to pay additional tax on top of this? Also, if for whatever reason the CRA finds out that you weren't eligible for one of either your CERB payments or your CRB payments, and they're going to require you to pay that back, then you could be required to pay back a lump sum of money all at once come tax time. But this tool will help you out if you're in that situation. For people who may have mistakenly gotten CRB or some other benefit, spent that money, and then are now being told they have to pay it all back, paying that all back in one payment all at the same time can be pretty difficult if you're living paycheck to paycheck. But what this calculator does is it shows you some of the payment plans that you can set up with the CRA so that instead of paying $2,000 per month, maybe you could only pay $200 and do that on a monthly basis to pay off your entirety of your $2,100 debt, if that makes sense. To simplify, instead of paying a lump sum, you can pay a smaller amount, and this video talks about how you can calculate what the CRA would be willing to accept for your payment plan. Next, we talked about my 3 top tips to help you out with your money and your financial situation as we enter this sort of second lockdown phase. We're seeing a lot of places, more and more so even now, going into this sort of second lockdown situation, and that's making people make even more tough decisions when it comes to their finances. So if you want to know some tips that I have on how you can navigate this so you can come out better on the other end of it, then you're going to want to check out that video. After all, on this channel we talk a lot about these benefits and how you can be claiming them to get you through this tough situation, but ultimately the goal is to educate people and bring them information as quickly and accurately as possible so that they can set themselves and their families families up to live a more wealthy and financially stable future. So if a wealthier future sounds like something you'd be into, you're going to want to watch that video, and also hit all those buttons down there, like, subscribe, notification bell, all that good stuff. I'm coming out with updates like this all the time, so I'd appreciate your support. Next up, we talked about a super important deadline for many people that's actually coming in less than 2 weeks as of today. And this is the last time that you can apply for the CERB retroactively. If you've been following along on the channel a little bit, you'll know that you were able to apply for all of those retroactive CERB payments. Now you might be thinking, hey Russell, like if I was going to apply for those, I would have applied way back when those were first announced. But you're right. There's a lot of people out there who didn't apply when they needed to for it for a variety of reasons. Maybe they wanted to stand on their own 2 feet for as long as possible, but now that this pandemic has been drawn out longer and longer and longer, it seems, they're like, hey, you know what? I would appreciate some of that money that I chose not to take initially. If you're one of those people, or you know somebody who's in that situation, you're going to want to send them this video because that deadline is coming up and it's December 2nd. So make sure that you check out that video to learn how you can retroactively apply, and make sure you mark your calendars for this date because you snooze, you lose. If you miss out on this last time to apply for it, then you could be out this money forever. Now, we also talked about something that affects every single Canadian out there, and it's for anybody who's keeping any money, whether it's CRB money or maybe their savings or an emergency fund, anybody who's keeping that money in a savings or checkings account. That money that's in your account right now that you're holding and that you've been told, oh, you should save, you should put it away, it's actually losing value every single day. And there are concerns that we could be losing even more value as the Bank of Canada prints even more money. And this is due to a concept called inflation. So if you're wanting to learn more about that and learn how you can protect your money from losing purchasing power and losing value, then you're going to want to check out that video on the threats of inflation to your money and your savings. The next thing we talked about is applicable to anybody who has received CRB or CERB money. And this is the video where I talk about the 5 best ways to reduce, if not eliminate, the tax that you're going to be required to pay on these benefits come tax time in April 2021. Depending on how much you received and how much you made in the year, you could be required to pay thousands of dollars back to the CRA at tax time. But if you watch this video, you'll see if there's any tips that could work for you to dramatically reduce this number, if not to eliminate it altogether, because that's a huge thing that a lot of people who are wealthy will do, right? They're going to look for ways that they can make their income as tax efficient as possible. So now that we're in a tough economic situation, absolutely everybody should be learning these tips and these strategies that have helped the ultra wealthy stay ultra wealthy and has kept a lot of people who are in the lower economic status staying there, right? It's learning these tips and learning these tricks that are going to be able to propel you into a higher socioeconomic class. We also talked about the $1,000 additional benefit that people who live in BC could be eligible for. Now, this was something that John Horgan, the Premier of BC, promised, and he's saying now that that benefit could be delayed for a lot of people. He was saying that it should be before Christmas, but now it's looking like not so much. So you're going to want to check out that video to find out if you're eligible for it and what's the holdup. Then we talked about one of my favorite topics since I'm a real estate agent in the Greater Toronto Area, and that's the Canadian real estate market and how there are signs that there could be cracks in the market, especially due to a couple different specific reasons, chief among which is mortgage deferrals ending and people being forced off this program. We do a deep dive on the numbers that have been newly reported, and we talk about if it's likely that we're going to see a huge dip in real estate prices. So if you're interested in following along with that, and I think you should, even if you're not even in the market to buy a house or you don't own a house, real estate is a huge way that Canadians build their wealth. And even if you're not in the place to get one yet, it's good to stay informed about what's happening. So check out that video if you want to. And that's the bulk of what we talked about. I released a couple other videos that you could find interesting, but I kind of want to keep these videos short and concise to the most appropriate headlines for you who are looking to stay up to date about these benefits and how they could affect you in your life. Now, if you found any value in this video or any of the videos that this links to, make sure to hit that like button, the subscribe button, notification bell, all that good stuff. I'm coming with updates like this all the time, so you're bound to learn something that could really significantly impact your future. Also, while you're at it, if you have somebody who you love or that you care care about that you think could benefit from this information and could use some of the extra money that these tips could save them or make them, then you're going to want to hit that arrow button down there. That's the share button. And you're going to want to send it to them to make sure that they know these tips so that they can set themselves up for a more stable future. And with all of that said, thank you so much for watching, everybody. I really hope this video has helped you out just a little bit, and I'll see you next time.